What's going on, you guys? It's Cody Steck. Welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about Switchback Energy and the merger with Chargepoint. We've got some very important news for you here today. We're going to be talking about what the stock has done, what it's going to do, and what's going on with the merger, as well as some other finer points. So with that being said, let's jump into things. So if you guys didn't know, this is absolutely one of my favorite stocks right now, and I think there's a really good outlook for this company. They haven't come out with a lot of news. They've kind of just been sitting in the background, just kind of hanging out, not really much happening, but their stock has seen some moves, and today it is up. We did have a big sell-off into the morning, but then it did kind of recover and just mostly traded flat for the day. We're going to take a look at the stock chart here, but I also want to talk about how the merger got delayed, and now we're expecting it to not happen until February, or at least not be voted on until February. And I also want to talk about the warrants and the units, as they call them, that you're also going to want to know about and how these actually react based on some of their SEC filings. So the filings that I saw were actually filed today, and I was just reading through them this afternoon. So the information that I've got there is up to date as of today. This information might have been in previous SEC filings, but I just noticed it here today in their latest filing that had a bunch of information about what's going to happen with their upcoming merger, what they had for the 2021 plan as they proposed it, which is their basically stock option plan to recruit talent for executives and employees within the company. And anyway, we're going to talk about all that stuff. So let's jump into the stock chart and take a look at that first. And as we jump into this, guys, make sure to get your free stocks with Webull using the link down in the description below. You can click on it right down here. You're going to get up to 4 free stocks valued up to $21 after opening an account and depositing $100 into that account. It's automatically a 21% return, which is super hard to beat. So make sure you do that. All right, let's jump into their stock. All right, so looking at the stock price and what it did here, we actually did see a huge spike overnight as we went into after hours yesterday and into pre-market trading today. We jumped up from about $39 to $42.60, $42.50, give or take a little bit. Increased a little bit as the market opened, and then a pretty big sell-off, falling all the way down to about $40, and then kind of just mostly traded sideways, up a little bit, down a little bit before ending the day at about $42.38. It is down slightly after hours, but nothing to be concerned of there. That is pretty typical. If we actually go back a little bit, this is something that I've been talking about for the last, I don't know, probably at least the last month or so. And this is a company that I got in with my first initial shares around the $16 mark. I made some very good, very lucky call options on this play as well. Got out with some good profits there, but I'm still holding shares that are up almost 200% at this point. And super happy with how those shares have performed. So you can see that we've had some ups and downs over the last little bit. If we actually zoom out here and take a look at this a little bit further, you can see that going into December, we had a rise up, it came back down, rise back up, as we were expecting the merger to happen around this time frame, and then it fell back down. As we didn't have the merger, we were expecting it to be December 15th from the, that was the first time or the first date that it was supposed to be. We didn't get that. And we were starting to find out that that wasn't going to happen at that time, right around this peak here. So it actually did fall down, and now it's kind of just been trading flat, Did have a little bit of a peak right here before Christmas. I'm pretty sure the whole stock market had this little peak here and run up. So not surprising there. And then it did sell off. Good thing here, though, is look, it did sell off, and we're expecting the merger to be January 15th. We do have updated information that it's not happening until February 11th at this point. So that is something to kind of keep in mind there, that it is not going to be the 15th like we originally expected. It is going to be delayed. So what I'm expecting, the good thing I want to point out here is that, look, when it did sell off, we were sitting around this like $37, $38 mark. Previously here, I mean, we did get down to like $33, right? So this one did sell off a little bit heavier. It rose back up and then sold off a little bit, but the resistance line, or that support line, I should say, is actually a little bit higher than it was previously. So I think that's a big plus for this stock and for the company. So looking ahead, what's this going to do? Well, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised that since this is new information, some people might still be expecting the merger to happen next week. The stock might rise. It might rise up to that $45 to $50 range over the next couple of days, going into next week. However, I do think it will sell off as the news comes out that, look, this isn't going to happen. I would not be surprised to see it drop back down into this high $30 range before we do actually get close to the time where they're going to vote on it, and there's going to be a lot of hype and a lot of people talking about it. So anyway, that's what the stock has done. So as I've mentioned a couple times now, we are not expecting that vote to come until February 11th of 2021. So this is roughly a month out still. Now we're getting delayed again, and unfortunately, that means we are going to have to wait a little bit longer before this does change over from SBE as the ticker to CHPT. I think is going to be their new ticker once they officially merge with Chargepoint. Chargepoint. So we are going to have to wait for that. It's unfortunate news, but I mean, hey, that's just the way things go. We're going to push it out another month, and it's expected to be February 11th. I don't know. I believe it happens fairly quickly right after they vote on it, that it will make that change, and they actually close that business combination is what they call it. And so then we should see that merge over and start trading under the new ticker pretty soon thereafter. Now, some other things I want to talk about is the warrants for this stock. Now, if you don't know what stock warrants are, it's basically like an option where you have the right, but not the obligation to purchase shares at a predetermined price based on how many warrants you own. Well, there are two other tickers out there that are trading warrants. You've got SBE WS is the first one, which is warrants that are just in the traditional sense where you're actually buying warrants of the company, agreeing to pay or getting the right to pay $11.50 for shares at some point in the future. You'll be able to exercise these warrants 30 days after the business combination is complete, and they will expire up to 5 years after that. Now, when you actually go look at the warrant, it says that it's going to expire July 20th. I think it was July 26th of 2026. Let me just look that up real quick. Yeah, so when you look that up, it actually does say that it's going to expire July 25th of 2026. Now, this is a little interesting. I don't know if that's just kind of an ambiguous date that they set further out 5 years past beyond when the actual business combination is going to happen, or if there's something we're not seeing here where perhaps the merger is not going to happen until later in the year, and they are going to base it off of an exact 5-year timeline. Nevertheless, what I'm getting at here is that you can buy warrants, and right now they actually look pretty good. They're actually lagging behind where the actual stock is at, and you can buy them for a much cheaper price. Right now, after hours, they're trading at about $18. So if you pay $18 for the warrant, you then have the option to buy shares at $11.50. This means effectively you could buy shares of the company for just under $30 in this case. However, this does come with the risk that, hey, look, warrants are can expire worthless, and they can also drop in value much quicker than the shares would themselves. So the thing you need to know about here is that perhaps after the merger happens, we do kind of expect the share price to pull back. And so if that happens, the warrants might not reflect that in an equivalent manner, and they might not drop as much. And, the share price for those warrants might actually end up being roughly in that $30 mark, in addition to where the actual shares are trading at. So just something to kind of keep in mind there. I am going to buy some warrants because I'm so bullish on this company. I really think it's worth the extra risk that you're going to get with this. If I can pick up shares, and get the option to exercise those at roughly that $30 mark, if the share price is trading in the $40, $45, $50 mark, I'm going to make a pretty good profit there. So for me, it's worth it. But of course, do your own due diligence and invest at your own risk. The other thing I want to talk about is they do have units, which are acquisition units. So it's under the ticker symbol SBEU, and that actually gives you the right to purchase one share of common stock, but also 1/3 of a whole warrant. Basically, one whole warrant is going to trade for one whole share. So be aware that you do need to buy at least 3 of these acquisition units in order for them to convert fully to get 3 shares of common stock and 1 full warrant. This is something that I noticed in the SEC filing. I think some people might miss this. For this reason, the units are actually trading at a premium, I guess you'd say, as compared to the actual just share price, just because you do get 1/3 of a warrant when you purchase that. So something to also kind of look into there as far as how those prices reflect compared to the actual share price. All that being said, it does look like these acquisition units are trading at a little bit higher price than what you get for the warrants themselves. So in my personal opinion, I'm not sure this is the best route to go, but it is another option that you could invest with Switchback Energy. Now, given that we talked about all that boring stock stuff, talking about shares, talking about warrants, talking about these units, I want to talk a little bit more about where the share price is at and where I think it could go in the future. Now, depending on who you ask, you look at one article online, it says, hey, this could be a major opportunity. You look at the next article online, it says, look, it's risen 200%. They have a PE ratio of 4,692 or whatever that number is. And they say, look, this is way overheated. It needs to sell off and cool off. So it really depends on who you ask. It depends on how they're looking at the company. I think one thing that you got to keep in mind is that, look, this can happen for any company out there. A lot of people hate Tesla. Tesla does great. A lot of people hate, on Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola does great. A lot of people hate on this company or love this company, and it does terrible, right? Like every company is going to have bears and bulls that go along with it. For me personally, I look at this company, I say, look, there's a lot of opportunity for this, especially with our new presidential the new president coming into office, the reality of that is that they're going to push electric vehicles more so than past presidents. And we are at a turning point where electric vehicles are now going to be able to be produced in full scale, and they're going to need charging. Especially the one thing I've noticed through the winter is that, look, my Tesla, it does drain the battery pretty quick when I'm out there in the cold weather. I had to drive roughly 60 miles the other day. I had to go 30 miles to the north and then 30 miles back for an appointment. However, I did lose over 100 miles of range during that trip because it was cold outside. So this is something where if you're doing this every day, charging could be a little bit of an issue, and you are going to need charging points where you can quickly fill up. So that's why I'm so bullish on what ChargePoint has to offer in the long run. They are expecting revenues to absolutely blow up over the next 5 to 6 years. And I think honestly, with a society and a culture and a government that are kind of pushing behind that, I do think there's a lot of opportunity for it to grow even quicker and therefore become a company that you want to be invested in. This is not a play where you're just going to get in and get out. Of course you could, but for me, that's not what this is. This is a company I want to hold for the long term. I want to get in it. I want to be in it now. And if I have to hold on to it for 4, 5, 6 years, that's okay with me. I think this could very easily be $100, $120, maybe even $150 stock over the next couple of years, probably 3, 4 years out. And that's something I'm really looking forward to as they continue to execute in this manner. And honestly, one thing I've talked about a lot here is that I do think they have the potential to actually buy out other companies that are trying to do the same thing, right? ChargePoint obviously has about a 75% market share here in North America. They're dominating Europe. They're getting their networks built out there. But here in North America, if they can buy out some of those smaller people that try to take market share from them, let's say they got 75% now. If they can go buy somebody out that has, 5, 6, 7, 8%, that's going to absolutely allow them to dominate that market and produce even more revenues, where ChargePoint is just the go-to charging station for electric vehicles. So all that being said, guys, those are kind of my updated thoughts on SBE. Like I said, we're expecting that merger date to be voted on, the merger date to happen, and leadership to vote on it on February 11th. So still about a month out, another delay, unfortunately, but that's the way it goes. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, share it with a friend or a family member. Don't forget to get your free stocks using the Weevil link down in the description below. Last but not least, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And with all that being said, catch you in the next one.